Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I wasn't supposed to be there that afternoon. Work had run late, and instead of heading straight home, I decided to swing by Rose's cafe for a sandwich. The place was half full. I was about to order when a familiar voice caught my ear. I froze. At the corner booth, hidden behind a rack of magazines, sat Monica, my wife. Across from her were three of her closest friends, Celeste, Nora, and Adriana. They weren't laughing or gossiping like usual. They had notebooks open, phones lined up, papers scattered like they were drafting a business plan. I should have walked away, but then I heard my name. Celeste leaned in, whispering with a kind of authority she always carried. "Trust me, Monica. Every man fails this unless he's really in love. You say it's over, you watch how he reacts. If he begs, you've got proof he cares. If he just accepts it, then he was never serious about you." Nora added, "Exactly. Don't waste more years if he's not willing to fight for you." Monica hesitated, her voice low. "I don't know. It feels wrong, staging a breakup just to test Albert." Adriana tapped the table. "Wrong? No, protective. Men lie. They hide. My sister never tested her guy, and guess what? He had another family across town. Better to know now than later." Celeste pushed a sheet of paper toward Monica. "Here's the script. Say you need space, that the marriage isn't working. Record the whole thing, we'll analyze it after." My chest tightened. They weren't just joking around. This was planned, rehearsed, and deliberate. I slipped my phone out and recorded a short clip of their conversation, just enough to capture Celeste's words. Monica looked trapped, but finally she nodded. "All right, tonight then." They all smiled, clinking their glasses together like they had solved a grand mystery. I left through the side door, heart steady but mind racing. If Monica wanted to play games, I'd show her how badly games can backfire. I got home before Monica. The apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that lets you think clearly. I set my bag on the counter and went straight to the dining table. If she wanted a performance, she would get one, but not the way her friends imagined. First, I stacked a folder of documents right in the center. Lease agreement, bank statements, a list of shared expenses with my initials marked wherever I paid. Nothing dramatic, just facts, neat and undeniable. Then I placed my phone next to the pile, camera pointed squarely at the table. Not hidden, out in the open. If she was planning to record me secretly, she'd see I had no problem recording too. I pulled a sheet of paper from the printer and wrote 3 questions in big, steady letters. Why ask strangers to decide the future of your marriage? When did honesty stop being enough? If you have to stage betrayal to measure love, what exactly are we building here? I folded the paper and slid it into my back pocket. If anything, I felt calmer than I had in weeks. The moment you stop worrying about saving something broken, clarity sets in. Before sitting down, I called Harlan, an old college friend who lived a few blocks away. Level-headed guy, not the type to fan flames. "Can you be nearby tonight?" I asked. "Something wrong?" "Not wrong. Just, I might need a witness if things get messy." He didn't press, just said, "Text me the word, I'll come." That was enough. By the time Monica's key turned in the lock, I was sitting at the table with my laptop open, spreadsheets on the screen, pretending to be lost in numbers. My phone's red recording light blinked in plain view. I looked up when she walked in. "Hey," she said, her tone too careful. "We need to talk." I closed the laptop slowly, like I'd been waiting for this. "Good," I replied. "So do I." She turned, eyes glossy like she'd practiced in a mirror. A phone poked out of her sleeve, screen faintly glowing. She sat across from me, cleared her throat, and started in. "Albert, I've been thinking about us, and I need space. This marriage isn't working for me anymore." Her voice cracked at the right spots, like an actress hitting cues. I didn't move. I let her words hang between us, heavy but not surprising. When the silence grew uncomfortable, I reached into my pocket, unfolded the paper with my 3 questions, and set it on the table without a word. She blinked, thrown off. "Did you hear what I said?" "Perfectly." I pressed play on my phone. Out came Celeste's voice, clear as glass. "Trust me, Monica. Every man fails this unless he's really in love. You say it's over. You watch how he reacts. If he begs, you've got proof. Monica's face drained. She reached for phone, but I tapped the table with one finger. Don't. Not yet. Her mouth opened, then shut. It wasn't, Albert, that wasn't what? A setup? A script? I asked evenly. I caught your rehearsal. She shifted in her seat, her confidence cracking. Still, she tried. It was supposed to show me if you cared. That's all. I slid the list of questions toward her. Read those. Then answer them, out loud. She picked up the paper, her hands shaking. Her eyes darted to mine, then back down. She didn't answer. Her phone buzzed with a message. Nora's name flashed on the screen. She shoved it under the table, but too late. I had seen it. They're waiting, I said. Why don't we invite them here? If they wrote this script, let's make sure everyone's in the same room when the curtain falls. Her mouth opened again, but no words came. I stood, dialed the number I'd memorized from her screen, and spoke calmly when Celeste answered. Come over. Bring Nora and Adriana. I want you all to hear this together. It didn't take long. 20 minutes later, there was a sharp knock at the door. Monica shifted in her seat, wringing her hands. I opened it and let them in. Celeste, crisp blazer and cold eyes. Nora, clutching her purse like it might shield her. Adriana, trying to look casual but failing. They filed into the living room, confused but curious. Celeste broke the silence first. What's this about? I set my phone back on the table, red light blinking. Transparency, I said. Since you three wrote the lines my wife just tried out on me, I thought it was only fair you see how the play ends. Adriana laughed nervously. Albert, you're taking this too seriously. It was just a harmless idea. I raised a hand. I heard every word at Rose's cafe. I recorded it. You told Monica to fake a breakup, film my reaction, and judge my worth like I'm on trial. That's not harmless. That's manipulation. Nora shifted, mumbling. We were only looking out for her. Looking out? I leaned forward. You convinced a married woman to lie to her husband's face. You scripted tears, pauses, and rehearsed lines. That's not protection. That's sabotage. Celeste's jaw tightened. If you loved her, you'd have fought for her. That was the point. I almost smiled. Love isn't a performance. If Monica wanted out, I'd respect her decision. But if she wanted the truth, she'd ask me directly. Instead, she staged betrayal. I turned to Monica. So, let's be clear. This isn't about whether I beg or stay calm. It's about trust, and you broke it the moment you agreed to this circus. Monica whispered, Albert, please. I didn't. I cut her off. No more scripts, no more games. From this moment, we're done. I'll gather my essentials, leave the rest, and you can explain to your friends why you traded a marriage for a test. The room was silent, the weight of my words pressing down on all of them. Celeste opened her mouth, but nothing came. I stood, walked to the bedroom, and began packing a single bag. I moved into Harlan's spare room that night, a small, quiet space with a creaky bed frame, but it felt freer than the apartment I'd just left. I didn't slam doors. I didn't throw accusations. I simply removed myself. By morning, my phone lit up like a siren. 27 missed calls, dozens of texts. The messages from Monica swung wildly, apologies dripping with regret, accusations that I was being cold, pleas for me to come home and talk like adults. One line read, "You didn't even let me finish the script." That told me all I needed to know. Then the calls started coming from her side of the family. Her mother first, her voice sharp and rehearsed. Albert, she made a mistake. She only wanted to know if you loved her enough to fight. You're really going to walk away over this? I kept my answer short. Yes. Her brother tried next, angrier. You humiliated her in front of her friends. That's cruel. No, I replied calmly. She humiliated herself by choosing lies over honesty. I didn't argue further. Every conversation ended the same way. Me hanging up, their words bouncing into silence. Meanwhile, Monica tried another tactic. Control the story. I got screenshots from mutual acquaintances, social media posts where she painted herself as a victim. Sometimes the person you trust most turns out to be a stranger. When you give your heart and get betrayal back, it would have been laughable if it wasn't so desperate. I responded once, just once. I sent one clip, The short recording from Rose's cafe to two people I trusted, Harlan and an old neighbor, Marta, who'd always been fair. No commentary, no extra story, just proof. Harlan texted back, "Smart move." Evidence talks louder than emotion. Marta's reply was even simpler. "Good for you. Don't let her spin it." From then on, I let the evidence sit in my pocket like a shield. No arguing, no defending. Let her scramble, let her shout. I stayed steady, and quietly, word began to spread. By the end of the week, the ripples had started. It began with a late-night message from a man I barely knew, Victor, Adriana's boyfriend. "Albert, is it true they told Monica to fake a breakup? Did you really record it?" I sent him the clip. 10 seconds of Celeste's voice was enough. His reply came fast. "That explains a lot. Adriana pulled the same thing on me last month. I thought it was real. I nearly moved out." 2 days later, another message appeared. This time from Daniel, Nora's partner. He'd heard through mutual friends what went down. "So the canceled plans tests, those were part of this too?" I confirmed. He told me he was done. By Friday night, the so-called loyalty squad was falling apart. Celeste's fiancé left her after finding out she masterminded most of it. Adriana was suddenly single. Nora stopped posting on social media altogether. Their little empire of tests and schemes was crumbling from the inside. Monica didn't take it well. She showed up at my workplace during my lunch break, eyes red, demanding 5 minutes. Security was already on edge from her pacing the lobby. I stepped out just long enough to keep it professional. "Albert, please," she said, voice cracking. "This is all getting out of hand. Everyone's blaming me. I didn't know it would get this bad." "You knew enough," I answered. "You stood there and said yes. That was enough." She tried again. "I only wanted to see if you cared. I didn't mean—" I cut her off. "You didn't need a script to know that. You needed trust. You chose the script." When she reached for my arm, a guard stepped between us. She was escorted out, leaving behind whispers from co-workers who had already pieced together more than she realized. That evening she went online again, posting vague claims, calling me controlling, cold, unfeeling. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because by then, half her circle already had the recording. And once the truth was out, silence did the rest of the work for me. By the second week, Monica's messages had shifted tone. The fury was gone. What came through now were apologies padded with excuses. I only did it because they pressured me. If I could take it back, I would. "We can fix this, Albert. Don't throw away years over one mistake." I replied once, a short message typed in the Notes app first so I wouldn't overthink it. "Trust is gone. I wish you well, but we're finished. Do not contact me again." Then I blocked her number. I spent the next days reorganizing my life. Harlan helped me move the last of my things from the apartment, quietly, while Monica was out. I left behind the furniture, dishes, and small things we bought together. I only packed what was mine. No drama, no shouting, just clean division. At work, I took on extra hours, which led to a conversation with my manager about a new position. For the first time in months, my head felt clear enough to focus. Evenings, I went to the gym with Harlan. One night, over coffee at a bookstore, I ran into Leona, an old acquaintance from a volunteer project years ago. She asked about Monica, and I told her the short version. She staged a breakup test. I walked away. Leona laughed softly, not unkind. "That sounds like something out of a bad TV drama." We talked for over an hour about everything but relationships, books, travel, work. When she left, I realized how refreshing it felt to have a conversation without tension, without games. Just words exchanged honestly, no subtext. I didn't rush anything with her. That wasn't the point. The point was realizing how simple a real connection should be, and how absurdly complicated Monica and her friends had made something that was supposed to be straightforward: marriage. The legal part didn't drag out. I filed for divorce. Monica didn't fight it. No children, no shared debts beyond what we had already divided, nothing to tie us together anymore. The papers were signed, and that chapter was closed. She tried once more through her sister, asking if we could pause everything and talk it over. I never responded. Some things end cleanly, and this was one of them. A month later, I found myself back at Rose's Cafe, the same place where this all began. I sat near the window this time. At the corner booth, another couple sat across from each other. They weren't whispering. They weren't recording. The woman spoke plainly, her hands steady on the table. The man listened, nodding, asking questions instead of reacting with theatrics. It was just two people, having an honest conversation. That sight told me everything I needed to know. I thought back to Monica, to Celeste's smug voice insisting, "Every man fails unless he begs," to the friends clinking glasses over a script, to the moment Monica looked me in the eye and said, "It's over," without realizing that would be the last time those words ever had weight. I didn't feel anger anymore, just certainty. Love isn't a test. It isn't a staged performance where someone scores points by crying on cue or begging at the right time. It's built day by day in quiet moments, splitting bills fairly, showing up on time, remembering how the other person takes their coffee. The real proof was there all along. She just didn't want to see it. In the end, Monica failed her own exam. The second she trusted her friend's games more than her husband's consistency, the marriage was already finished. As I left, I passed the couple at the booth. The man glanced up. No words, just a small recognition that honest conversations still exist. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't to fight for what someone else tries to throw away. It's to set it down, walk out the door, and let the silence show exactly where the truth stands. And that's what I did. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. The call came on a Tuesday morning. My boss asked me to step into a conference room where HR was waiting with a folder. They said the company was restructuring and my position was being eliminated. Just like that, 6 years gone in 15 minutes. I drove home with the box of my things in the passenger seat and called Jenny. "Hey," I said, "something happened at work. I got laid off." There was a pause. I expected, "Are you okay?" Instead, she asked, "So, how are we supposed to pay the bills now?" "Jenny, I've got savings," I told her. "Unemployment will cover part of it. I'm already thinking about applying." She cut me off. "That's not the point, Blake. I can't be in a relationship with someone who just loses his job like that. It looks bad." Her words sat in my stomach like a stone. That night, we sat across from each other at a small Italian place we used to like. She dressed up, full makeup, as if it were a performance. The waiter brought water and menus, but she didn't touch hers. Instead, she asked, "So, what's your plan now?" "I've already updated my resume," I said. "I've got contacts I can reach out to. I just need time." Jenny tilted her head. "Time is expensive, Blake. We're not kids anymore. People look at us, and they expect certain things." "People?" I asked. "Or you?" She folded her hands neatly on the table. "Let's be real. I don't date broke boys. Level up, or I'm gone." I let out a single laugh, short and dry. "You're serious?" Her expression didn't move. "Completely." Jenny lifted her wine glass. "If you care about us, prove it." I leaned back, calm. "Then let's save time. I won't be proving anything. You made your choice." I stood, placed enough cash on the table to cover dinner, and walked out. That was the last night I lived in our apartment. I spent the next few nights at a friend's place, sorting out what to do next. Jenny didn't call, didn't text. I expected that. What she didn't know was that for the past year I'd been building a small side project with a former colleague, Matthew. It was a tool for testing email campaigns. Nothing glamorous, but it worked well enough to catch the attention of a SaaS company. 3 days after I left Jenny, the deal closed. We signed the papers. They were acquiring the code and paying us out over the next 6 months, plus keeping me on as a consultant. When I checked my account, the first transfer had already landed. I didn't go on a spending spree. I just wanted space. I signed a lease on a brick loft in a converted textile mill. The first night there, I sat on the floor eating takeout straight from the container, feeling lighter than I had in months. A week later, I rolled my motorcycle, a 20-year-old Triumph I'd rebuilt, into the corner of the loft. On impulse, I snapped a photo of it by the window, city lights behind it, and posted it to Instagram with a short caption. New chapter. I didn't tag the location, didn't say a word about the deal. 10 minutes later, the notifications started. First, a comment from Jenny's friend Camille. "Nice setup, Blake. Big move." Then a message request popped up from an unknown account. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk?" I stared at it. Jenny. Another followed. "I miss us." I took a screenshot and closed the app. The next morning, another text came through. "I know you're upset, but we were good together. Let's not throw this away over one bad week." I didn't reply. I was busy filling out forms for my consulting contract, setting up my new bank account, and enjoying the silence of the loft. For the first time in years, I felt like my life was finally mine. 2 weeks after I moved into the loft, I walked into a co-working bar where I sometimes worked afternoons. Halfway through drafting a client proposal, I heard my name. "Blake?" I looked up. Jenny was standing there in a tailored coat, hair perfectly styled. She smiled like nothing had happened. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Same as you." "Working." She slid into the seat across from me without asking. "Listen, about the other night? I was stressed." "I didn't mean it like that." "You didn't mean saying you don't date broke boys?" I kept my voice even. She winced, but didn't back down. It was a bad reaction. But come on, 2 years together? We don't throw that away because of one conversation. "You threw it away, Jenny," I said. "I just respected your choice." Her smile flickered. "I think we can fix this." I packed up my laptop. I don't. That night, my phone lit up. Jenny had posted on LinkedIn, tagging me in a long post about supporting your partner through challenges and being proud of my resilience. My inbox filled with confused messages from colleagues. I called her. "Take that down." "It makes us look united," she said. "We're not united." "Delete it." She hung up instead. That evening, my phone rang again. This time, it was Jenny's mother, Lillian. "Blake, dear," she began, syrupy sweet. "Jenny told me things have been rough. She made a mistake. You know how young couples are. Why not meet for dinner and clear the air? With respect, Lillian, your daughter ended the relationship when she gave me an ultimatum. I'm moving on." She sighed. "Are you sure this isn't about money? Jenny said you've been making big changes lately. New place, new bike, people notice." "Whatever I'm doing now has nothing to do with her," I said. "Good night." I hung up and blocked the number. The pressure had begun. By the end of that week, the situation escalated. A notification popped up on my phone. Jenny had posted a reel on Instagram. In it, she talked about betrayal and false promises, careful not to name me, but vague enough that everyone who knew us could connect the dots. She said things like, "Imagine thinking you're building a future with someone only to find out they're hiding everything from you." The comments started piling in, some supportive, others skeptical. Within an hour, my old coworker Priya sent me screenshots. "Blake, she's talking about you, right?" I didn't respond. Instead, I called a lawyer I'd been referred to, Samuel Ortega. We met in his office the next morning. He flipped through the screenshots, expression unreadable. "She's trying to set a narrative," he said finally. "Good news is, she's sloppy. She hasn't named you directly, but the context makes it defamation. We'll send a cease and desist." A week later, a letter came, not from Jenny, but from her attorney. It demanded disclosure of my recent financial dealings, claiming that during the relationship we operated as a partnership and she was entitled to a share of any new income. I handed it to Samuel. He skimmed it and smirked. "Palimony. Partnership by conduct. It's flimsy, but we'll treat it seriously." That night, while reviewing my files, I noticed something off. My old shared cloud account showed a login from Jenny's email address 2 days earlier. I hadn't used that account since moving out. She still had the password from when we were together. She had downloaded several documents, draft invoices, contracts, even my consulting retainer. I called Samuel immediately. "She's already trying to dig into my accounts," I told him. "Then we escalate," he replied. "File a police report. Change every password you've got. I'll notify her lawyer that unauthorized access to your files is a crime." I drove to the precinct the next morning and filed the report. Sitting in the lobby with the copy of the statement in my hand, I realized Jenny wasn't going to stop. She wasn't trying to fix anything. She was trying to burn me down. The police report didn't slow her down. If anything, it pushed her further. The first incident happened at my gym. I was halfway through a set when Jenny showed up on the treadmill next to mine, phone in hand. recording herself while crying loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I just want my boyfriend back," she said into the camera, making sure my face was in the background. Trainer Carla Morales walked over immediately. "Ma'am, you need to leave. You're disturbing members." Jenny refused, so Carla called security. By the time I finished my set, Jenny was gone. The following Saturday, I went to the farmer's market. She was there, standing by a fruit stall, telling vendors I had abandoned her after promising a family. People stared while she gestured toward me. I didn't engage. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and walked away. The third strike came outside a client pitch. As I exited the building, I spotted her leaning against a parked car, filming me as I walked past. "See how he ignores me?" she said, narrating. Cold, heartless. That night, I called Samuel. "I've got videos, timestamps, and witnesses," I told him. "Perfect," he said. "We'll file for a restraining order." Enough is enough. With Carla and 2 others willing to provide statements, the judge granted a temporary protective order. Jenny was barred from approaching my workplace or gym. While she unraveled, my work clicked into place. The acquisition referral brought me 3 new clients. Within weeks, I signed 2 retainers and brought Priya on as my first employee. We set up shop in a corner of the loft, whiteboards and laptops on folding tables. Life wasn't all business, though. My neighbor, Nina Park, an emergency physician, knocked on my door one evening with a houseplant. "Figured you could use something alive in here," she joked, looking at the bare loft. We grabbed dinner the following weekend. When the bill came, she slid her card across before I could reach for mine. "Next one's yours," she said. It felt different, solid, normal. Meanwhile, Jenny was preparing her next move. 3 weeks later, I sat at the defendant's table while Jenny and her new lawyer shuffled papers across from us. She'd filed a civil suit claiming I'd promised her a future, that she relied on my income to her detriment, and that I'd hidden assets during our relationship. Her lawyer stood first. Miss Carter sacrificed opportunities because she trusted Mr. Adams to provide. Then he concealed significant funds. Jenny sat beside him in a designer suit, nodding dramatically with every word. Samuel leaned over. "Relax, we've got her cornered." When it was our turn, Samuel stood and presented a stack of exhibits. Exhibit A, the termination letter from Blake's employer, proving his layoff was part of a 40-person restructuring. Exhibit B, the acquisition contract showing payouts began after separation. Exhibit C, login records showing Miss Carter accessed his private cloud account without consent. Exhibit D, social media posts where Miss Carter implied misconduct while identifying Mr. Adams by name. He placed each document on the judge's bench. "And finally," Samuel said, holding up his phone, "video evidence of Miss Carter harassing my client at his gym, his market, and outside his workplace. Witness statements corroborate these events." The judge turned to Jenny. "Do you dispute these materials?" Jenny's lawyer stammered. "We question the interpretation, Your Honor." The judge leaned forward. "Miss Carter, you ended this relationship by giving an ultimatum. He respected it. To now claim entitlement to income earned after separation, while simultaneously harassing him, is unfounded. Your case is dismissed with prejudice." Jenny's face went pale. The judge continued, "As for Mr. Adams's countersuit, the evidence of defamation and harassment is clear. I'm awarding him damages of $25,000, plus legal fees. Additionally, the temporary restraining order is extended to 1 year." The gavel came down with a crack. Her world was shrinking. Mine was expanding. After court, the messages started trickling in. Mutual friends, old acquaintances, even one of Jenny's cousins reached out. All variations of the same theme. "She's struggling. Can't you show some grace? Drop the damages, give her a chance to rebuild." I replied once, the same line every time. "Please direct all contact through my attorney." Then I blocked the number. Life moved forward quickly. I bought a modest townhouse across the river, investing the rest of my payout into the agency I'd started with Priya. We picked up more clients, grew a small team, and finally moved out of the loft into a real office. Nina stayed around, not in some dramatic whirlwind way, just steady. When I suggested paying for dinner, she'd insist we split it. When I told her about Jenny's antics, she didn't pry for details. She just said, "You handled it the right way." And that was enough. One afternoon, on my way to meet a new client, I passed the restaurant where Jenny had given me the ultimatum. Same striped awning, same brick walls. I remembered her across the table, wine glass in hand, telling me I had 4 weeks to level up, or she was gone. I stopped for a moment on the sidewalk, watching people file in for lunch. The memory felt distant, like it belonged to someone else. My phone buzzed. It was an email from Samuel, confirmation that Jenny had finally paid the damages. Another buzz came right after. Our agency had landed a national campaign, the biggest deal we'd signed yet. I slid the phone back into my pocket and kept walking, a small smile tugging at my face. Jenny's words echoed in my head, but they didn't sting anymore. Level up or I'm gone. I had leveled up, without her, and I was glad she was gone. That chapter was closed. Thank you for watching.